Welcome back, everyone, to the CHG podcast.
What's up, guys?
It's been a couple weeks,
Yeah.
but man, what a couple weeks has been.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We're failing it.
We're failing it.
I don't know, but it's been a couple weeks, and we got things have happened in the last couple weeks. Real quick, we'll try to get through what we're playing real fast. Luckily, I don't have much, because I know it's mostly me. The crew is done. It is done. I finished it as this recording, which is the 11th of February, Sunday. I finished it a day before. The day before.
Just like that game.
Just like the game. But yeah, it's done. I got the last trophy I needed, which was the 2,000 off-road miles. Which I got done faster than I thought I was, because I forgot. So for a lot of I think every trophy in the game also has an in-game achievement called awards that the game has set up. There's also way more, but they do have a designated ones for all the trophies. And for the off-road ones, or the miles ones, they actually do it by percentage. Although there is another tracker in the statistics for the same thing, but it didn't line up right, but in my favor. I thought I still had 200 miles to go, which I would have got done in a couple hours because I found a really good loop to just continuously do. But someone mentioned like, oh no, you can see your progress on the awards. And I was like, oh, I forgot all about that, because that's actually the true indicator of how far you are, is where the award is. So I was like, uh-oh, because people have reported it not tracking right, or not syncing, or not updating there. And I was a little scared, because I thought I was going to end up seeing like 50%, and it didn't register like, hundreds of miles. But when I looked, it was 99%. And I was like, oh snap, I got like 20 miles to go. I thought I had 200. So, but it was even less than that, because I went like a couple laps and then done. And I was like, hey, say no more. Say no more. I'm done. So the game is finally done. Got the platinum for it. And I moved right on to Tekken 8. I finally got to play just on my own. I've streamed it. I streamed the 2 single player modes that the game has, Arcade Quest and the story mode. I finished the story mode on a stream on this past Friday, so the 9th. And a bunch of fun, but I didn't really get to just enjoy it and absorb it on my own by myself. So I went straight to the Arcade Quest again, kind of absorbed all of that, but this time I did all the fights that you can do, all the optional fights, because there's a bunch of optional fights you can just do for money and just leveling up your character, which doesn't do anything, but did all of that. Beat it, and now there's the super ghost battle that is part of the arcade. Well, it's part of the Arcade Quest, but also you can do outside of it. But I'm doing it within it because you can unlock customization items and stuff, and you can fight the director, Harada himself. Harada man, he actually has an in-game avatar in the game, and you can fight him in there. And so I haven't fought him yet, but I'm saving him for last, because I mean, it feels fitting to fight him last. But he's in there. I wonder though if it's going to be like actually him, because there was this in Tekken 7. There was this what we thought, people including me, we thought like it was like either like a cheat code or some kind of like in-game secret where you could legit fight Harada. Like it's like a whole character model of him. And the glasses and the suit and the beard, everything. Tekken fans were, loving this. But I forget what exactly it was. I think it was either something like, it was like an April Fool's joke, or just a spoof thing that the Tekken team did just on a thing. There was never actually in the game, like in the retail copies for us. There was no like in-game code you could put in, or like some sequence of events, or like a event. It was none of that. It was just like a one-off thing. So I'm hoping that he actually does have a character. I haven't looked it up. I hope that there's a character model of him in the battle, because I am going to do a backflip if it is. But yeah, doing that. I'll do the other mode. I'll do story mode last. I'm going to do that last. I'm doing this first, and I'm going to do the online a little bit, take care of those trophies, and then I will jump into story mode last and really just absorb all of that. Good game. I mean, it does look fantastic. I've been more impressed with this game than I was with Tekken 7 on PS4, even though they both came out a couple years after their respective generations. I've been more impressed with this one, at least fidelity wise. I don't know what you've seen, but
I think part of that is just because I do think that this generation is far less tapped into the technology than last generation was at this point. I think we have a lot further to go to
Yeah.
getting like everything out of the
Yeah,
consoles.
I agree, especially because, we for I mean, only up until, like, maybe the back half of last year, we're finally starting to see exclusive games for the consoles that have
Yep.
finally been able to just focus on that. And when you do have to work on both systems, there's always that there's been this ongoing conversation since we've been doing this. Like, it's either like you try to tap out the most from the last gen, or you're bottlenecking yourself for your full potential with the new gen if you're doing the cross, because you can't make it too crazy. So
Yeah.
anyways, but yes, it's a fantastic game. I have been more happy with what they provided for offline players with this game than with Tekken 7. I felt a bit shortchanged myself personally. Um, with Tekken, yeah, with last year, with the last game. So I've been happy with this. But yeah, so it's a good time. I'm working on this for now. Um, and then after that, I have like a couple indie games I need to clean up. But then after that, I don't know what the next like non-indie game I have yet. I mean, there's Rise of the Ronin, which comes out in March.
Hmm.
But from what I have up until then, I don't know exactly yet. But I'll know. You'll know when I know. Anyways, David, what you got going on?
The little free time I do have, I've just been playing Pal World. So, uh,
The inferior Power World
I mean, it's yeah, but it's still good. I in classic David
fashion. You have restarted seven
fashion.
times.
Yeah. No, just once.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
little too much to restart in this game, just because like you have to like it, I know every game is like this, but there's a lot because it's a survival like
Hmm.
tech tree game. Like there's a lot of grinding. Like this game is 90% grinding.
Yeah.
But I still like it. It's still a lot of fun. Um, I found a better place to start my base at to get better, more consistent resources in my first base. I have a second base now. That's
Ooh.
dope.
Ooh.
I've just started to try to breed pals. I have not been looking at breed charts so far, which is really annoying because the resource you need to breed pals is takes a while to craft, at least at my level. Yeah, you need to have cake, and so you need wheat, milk,
Cake. Okay.
eggs, and honey to breed cake. To make a cake, and that take I know, shut up. So you need all of that. So you need to farm all that, and then you need to make it. And like, I don't know if you've seen any of the memes of like this is like of people like finding creative ways to hold down the X button. Have you seen that? Okay,
No.
so when
No.
you craft in this game, if you don't have a pal crafting for you, which especially early game, they're not nearly as fast at crafting as you are, and only one pal can craft at a time, at least on until you get to the assembly lines, but that's way further down the road. You have to hold X, like physically hold down the button, or it stops. So like it would be, and people have been like, just like I think that one of the biggest complaints is just make it so if we press X, it starts, and then like as long as we don't move, that way we could press X and like walk away. But
Hmm.
people got like where they have taped down the X button, stuff like that. Like I was making 200 rounds of ammo, and I just sat there watching YouTube videos of the
Just
X held
pressing,
down.
holding it down. Oh man.
Yeah, so but no, it's still fun. I'm still enjoying it. I still wish that either A, it still gets getting worked on, and um, with Microsoft investing in it, hopefully that goes well. Hopefully, they just continue to let the creative minds that came up with it, continue to make stuff
Yeah.
better. Or Pokemon just rips it off, and I'm fine with that too. Like, cool. But anyway, I'm having a lot of fun with it when I do have some time
Yeah. Yeah.
to actually go and play.
People, including myself, forget. I think regularly that this is technically an early access game.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I forget about that all the time. That this is technically what's early access considered, an alpha, somewhere between alpha and beta or
yeah. I
something.
have no
Like,
idea.
I don't know what early
It's
access.
so well. Like the funny thing is, it's so well polished for being that. Like I've only had the game crash once on me
Yeah.
the whole entire time I played it. I will say, PALs and other environmental things like enemies and stuff slipping into the scenery, like into rocks and falling through the map and stuff. That
Mhm.
does happen fairly often. In fact, one time I found a Lucky Pal, which is basically the shiny equivalent
Mhm.
of pals, uh, and I found it. I was like, "Fuck yes!" And I was gonna go capture it, and I'm like, you know, poking it with my stick to get its life down,
Okay.
and I accidentally poke it into
Out
like
of
a
bounds or
rock.
something?
Yeah, into like a yeah
oh,
the
no.
and I couldn't capture it. I was like,
And it
no,
wouldn't come out?
no.
It was
No, it
just
wouldn't
stuck
come out.
there?
I
Oh.
waited for it, and it couldn't
Oh.
phase back through. That being said, the Lucky Pals are a little bit more common than not a little bit more. I have like 4 Lucky Pals now.
I would say that's better than most people play Pokemon throughout an entire game, so, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I played Pokemon my entire life and have never
You've
come
never
across a shiny pal,
really?
shiny Pokemon.
You've never not once in your life?
Nope, not one
That's
time.
you poor man. Because I have plenty of times. Well, I shouldn't say
I
plenty.
know,
I shouldn't say plenty, but I remember
and
catching, like
I'm not counting
oh, yeah, I'm not wait,
Eevee and the
Eevee?
Pikachu and Eevee one
What are you talking about?
on the Switch.
I don't have a Switch, so I don't know what you're talking about.
So the Pokemon that came out that was the redo of the first
No, no,
gen. Let's go Pikachu, let's go
I know
Eevee.
what games you're talking about, but I don't know
Right.
what you mean by them
So
being shiny.
so in that Pokemon game,
Uh,
the shiny mechanic worked differently.
oh,
If you consistently encountered the same Pokemon over and over again, every time, like I think it was like every 10 encounters, your chance to find a shiny went up.
oh, okay.
So
I
long
don't.
as you didn't encounter another Pokemon, your streak continued, and you basically like I think by the when you maxed it out, it was like 1 in 100, which is a hell of a lot better.
Yeah,
And then you just kind of wait.
I don't know. Okay, this is going back for you, but Gen 4, Diamond and Pearl. Do you remember
Hmm.
playing those?
Yeah,
Do you remember playing the after game, post game?
yeah.
Okay, well, you got a device that basically did that exact same thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't
So
know if I ever got that far.
unless they dished it in like a later gen and brought it back for Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, then I can see why you might think it was new. But it's actually something that came back that was actually back in Diamond and
Well,
Pearl.
this is built into the game
Um,
itself. It's like not an item or anything.
I don't remember if it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't. The Poke Radar, I think it was called Poke Radar. I pretty sure. If you're
Oh, I
watching
got it.
this and you know,
I just
uh,
didn't know it had anything to do with shinies.
yeah. Well, I mean, you don't get told that, but like what it does is it like you go to a patch of grass, you use it, it like active like you can see a few patches of grass around you that like move, but then one of them has like a little like I guess you could call like quotation marks or whatever above it, and you want to try to get to that one. And if you do, you counter it, and it's same principle. You want to try to keep countering the same Pokemon over and over again, and you can either battle it or run away. And then you want to use. I think when you do that, it activates again by itself. You don't need to go for Pokemon. It just does it again, and it keeps shaking. You want to keep finding the grass, and that's how. That's also how you can find rare Pokemon
Hmm.
that were exclusive to using the Poke Radar, which was pretty BS. Honestly, it was really annoying because like they're really cool Pokemon like Tauros or whatever. You can
Hmm.
only get it if you found a certain other Pokemon a bunch of times, and then you would increase the odds of having that rare one show up in that
Gotcha.
string, or the shiny chances go up too. But
Gotcha.
yeah, really, it's really dumb. Anyways, you playing PAL or amongst other RPGs, you're essentially like when a game comes out and you guys you see like the IGN article or whatever, it's like 10 things that I wish I knew before I played X game. That's
Yeah.
you, but you do it to yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
As soon as I find out something, I'll start over and be like,
that's
okay, I
why
need
you
to do
restart
this.
games. You basically are doing that to yourself. Like instead of just
Yeah.
watching the video, you're like, I'll just jump ahead, balls first, and then they're like, man, now that I know all this, I'm gonna restart with all this
I'll never,
knowledge in my head.
I'll never finish a game, but that's how I play games.
Just watch the video beforehand, David. Just watch that, and then you would have to restart 8 times. Anyways, cool. So we're gonna get right into it. So, okay, our main story will be later, but we didn't meet last week because scheduling conflicts. But we wanted to cover the PlayStation Showcase that was the other week because it was basically a complete rebuttal to Xbox's little showcase that they had. Now, Xbox's was more focused, 5 games. they all got their each chance in the spotlight, which was great, and and it was pretty organized too. Like, each one of them had a specific, release date broken into quarters. I liked it. But PlayStation's was more like, here's every fucking thing in the world. But so we're gonna kind of rapid fire through this, so this doesn't end up being like a 2-hour fucking podcast. But the first thing that they showed off, which is already out now, Helldivers 2, which I don't get it. I don't really get it. Like, I remember it coming out, the first one coming out, but like, like, I didn't
Apparently
even
it's
realize.
good.
Apparently,
I've been seeing a lot of videos on it.
apparently it is. People apparently it like broke Pal World's most popular game for like a day or two on Steam, because this was one of the rare Sony exclusives that have come out on PlayStation and PC at the same time. Usually Sony wants to wait 1,000 years before they put out their games on PC. But this one was released on both, which I think was a smart move, giving it being so co-op heavy. It made a lot of sense for it to come out. And Foam Stars came out too. I know it's supposed to have a PC thing, I think, but I don't know if it's out on PC. That one was a bit less clear to me. But Helldivers is out. People are having fun with it, I guess. Apparently, it's a pretty solid co-op shooter. But yeah, and then the next game was Stellar Blade, which, oh man, your boy is excited for Stellar Blade. It's basically like, this is the Bayonetta that I don't get to have, and I am so here for it, bro. I am so here for it. It'll be interesting to see what these devs do, because for a lot of people, it's basically like PlayStation's I guess Nier was initially a PlayStation exclusive for like a year or two. It was out on PlayStation first in 2017, then it went to Xbox and Switch later, but it was a PlayStation exclusive for some time. But this is like the next iteration of that, like in almost every sense. But then you have like the flashiness of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta or something like that, but it's not made by Platinum or Capcom. So like, I'm excited, and there's like, multiple costumes and all that. Like, it's just like ticking all the boxes for me. Like,
RJ was gonna dress up his
yes,
bladed waifu.
yes, as well as all the people. We're gonna be bro. The cosplays for this is gonna be out of control. Like, this is all the ladies, all the female cosplayers are gonna be fucking dressing up like this at all the cons coming up this year, bro. You know what's coming. But yeah, that comes out in April, so I'm excited. So I get Rise of the Ronin in the end of March, and then at the end of April, I got Stellar Blade. So I'm set, man. I'm set. I don't need no more games for the rest of the. I got 3 games in the span of 3 months. Like, your boy's done. I'm tapped out. Like, I don't need it. Oh shit! And then you got Wukong in August, so it's like I gotta figure all that out before August, because when that comes,
RJ is gonna be playing new games.
Oh my god!
I don't know if RJ has ever played this amount of new games
in 1 year. Well, I bought. Okay, I think I bought. Did I buy 3 last year or 2? Because last year I got Wolong and Liza P. I can't remember if I got anything else. Okay, I'll just say 2. So this is like a new record. Like 4, like twice the amount, bro. Like, I'm losing my mind, man. I'm just, anyways, so that was showing up, and then a little surprise, which was actually leaked a little bit beforehand. But remember Sonic Generations, one of the few good Sonic games back in the day? It's getting a new game. Nice. Sonic Generations, well, Sonic X or Sonic Cross Shadows Generations. So Shadows is it, and all of the brooding will commence. And
he's gonna have his Uzis.
So yeah, have his what?
He's gonna have his Uzis.
Let's hope so. Who knows? Maybe they'll throw it. They'll give us a throwback. Who knows? But yeah, like I've been meaning to play Sonic Generations because it is one of the few good ones. I watched gameplay of it. I think I played the demo once upon a time, and it isn't bad. It really isn't bad. So I'll have to play that first fully through, and then I'll really know if I want to jump onto Sonic Cross Shadows. I think they also it would be cool if they just ported the original Sonic Generations to PS4 or PS5 or whatever. I think that'd be a pretty smart move too. They could just port it. I'm sure they have it. They have like every other Sonic game on there. Like, why not bring that one over? And then they showed I forget the exact title, but it's like Zenless Zone Zero, I think it's called. It's basically the Genshin, yeah, the ZZZ, the Z. It's basically the Genshin clone, which is made by the same devs. Like, I get confused. I don't know what's going on with that dev, because it's made by the same studio or same publisher, or whatever. But they all seem very similar, and I just
Yeah,
wonder if
yeah.
they're going to end up cannibalizing one another. You know,
I
because
mean,
you have
hell, if they
Genshin,
make money, then they make money.
they do, but I'm thinking about long term, not short term. You know, and I know Genshin has stood the test of time, but that was the OG. Of course it will. But then now they released Honkai Star Rail, I think it's called, and now they have this. I mean, beyond the aesthetic is like, is it? I guess I would have to play them, but like it just on the surface level, it just seems like they're all similar games with just a different coat of paint or different scenery, and I just wonder if like they're just gonna shoot themselves in the foot by releasing a similar product, you know, from each other. You know, that's just what I get. I mean, I say this as
Yeah.
like someone who doesn't want them to fail. Like I'm saying this because I don't want them to do this, but it seems like that could be what could happen when you have three similar aesthetic games. You know that the combat is like a same style, just maybe with different moves and different looks or whatever. But like it feels the same. It looks the same. You know, it's just they all have the free to play model, I believe. So it's like you can only play one. You know, most people can't play all three. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, what do you do? You know, but anyway, so that was shown off, and then like I said, Foam Stars coming out, which is already out now. The indie game Dave the Diver, which I don't know if it won at the Game
Yeah.
Awards or if it got nominated. I think at least it got nominated for best
Dude, I
indie.
was so mad that Dave the Diver isn't coming to, at least as of right now, to Xbox.
It's not, but it's coming to PlayStation.
Yep.
And so was Godzilla. Apparently, Godzilla is in Dave the Diver as some kind of
Nice.
summer expansion or something. Um, okay, like that was the weirdest thing I had ever seen, and I don't know. It's got to only be because of the movie that came out recently or something. Like,
Hey.
but it's just like of all the games, Dave the Diver. I mean, I guess Godzilla comes out from the sea, but like, really?
Yeah,
Like,
then you can kill him, hook him, kill him, and serve Godzilla steaks
oh,
at the restaurant.
just easily hook him line sinker like
I
it's no
mean,
big deal. Like
it's gonna be a big deal. He's gonna be a hard boss, but then you get Godzilla steaks out of it.
makes me wonder if like they would do that with Subnautica, you know, because like that's in first person and everything too. Like, can
That
you
would be
imagine
a
how creepy that? I mean, I've seen videos of like that Leviathan creature, that ghost Leviathan. Can you imagine
yeah.
if fucking Godzilla just popping around the corner and you're like, ah. um, and then they showed off this game called V Rising, which apparently at first I had never seen it or heard of it, but apparently it is a known game. I don't know if it's mobile or PC, but like it has existed beforehand, and now it's coming to PS5, so they just showed that off, announced it, and then a little surprise: Silent Hill has a new game.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's a free. It's more like a extended demo type of deal. Like it's not a demo. It is a game, but it's not like a full, your several hour type deal.
Yeah.
Apparently, critics don't like it. Apparently, they've already been roasting this thing. I don't know why. I'm not. I'm probably never gonna. And the girl looks cute. I'll give her. I'll give that. Like the girl looks hella cute. She reminds me of the chick from Until Dawn that dies like right away. I don't remember her name. She's one of the sisters of the brother,
Yeah.
who comes up for revenge. But I can't remember her name. And maybe it is the same girl. But other than that, but that was a cool surprise. Just to kind of like they're kind of giving like they're kind of starting their little comeback that they're trying to do. And then
Mhm.
after they announced that, they showed off real footage of Silent Hill 2, the remake that they're doing. That I think is the team Blooper, the team behind the Medium. They're making this, and I'm sure as a Silent Hill fan, people are excited. But honestly, from someone who's not, and maybe if you see it too, like
Mm.
it just immediately it's just like, and I guess this is like it's a Resident Evil clone almost, like a Resident Evil remake clone. Like it now seems to be that every horror game is like Resident Evil 2 remake has now just like set it now. Like, that's become the standard
Yeah.
for horror.
Yeah.
It seems to be because Alan Wake 2 feels like it. The new Alone in the Dark remake definitely feels like it. And now playing Silent Hill, not playing, but like seeing the Silent Hill 2 stuff, it's like it again. It just looks like Resident
I mean,
Evil.
if people want more, man.
They do, but
Until they stop wanting more.
I guess the problem though is just like where do you get your own identity? You know what I mean? Like it's. I mean, there's only so many ways
And
you
that
can.
cash you get when they buy the games, you find it there.
Well, it's just like, for instance, back in the day, like Resident Evil, like one of the biggest distinguishers between the two Silent Hill and Resident Evil is that Silent Hill was more it was kind of kind of above the screen. Like, if you've seen footage of it, like it's not completely behind, but it's like it's not completely top down like Diablo. It's like
Mm,
a in between, you know, like
yeah.
it's a bit panned out, but not too high up. It had a lot of that, but Resident Evil was like all fixed camera angles, or mostly fixed camera, like pretty much all fixed camera angles, tank controls left and right. You know, everyone knows, but like it was able to create their own distinct personalities in games and styles of even doing the games. And but now it kind of feels like everything is Resident Evil too. So it's like it makes a bit. I mean, Alan Wake managed to do it where everyone fucking loves that game. So I'm
Yep.
it's not like it can't be done, but it just like I saw it and I was just like, if you didn't tell me this was Silent Hill, I would have just assumed it was Resident Evil. Like that's just how I felt.
Yep.
But Silent Hill is an OG. Silent Hill 2 is one of the greatest games, not just horror games, but just games in general. So I'm sure they'll know what they're doing. Is from Capcom. They're on a roll recently, so I'm sure. Wait, is it Capcom? Is it? Konami, I think did Silent Hill.
Yeah.
I apologize to all the fans out there. But so we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. And then they finally showed off more. Remember Judas? Remember that game?
Mm-mm.
It's supposed to be
No.
made by Ken Levine's new studio, the BioShock dude, his new studio.
Mm-mm.
I'm not surprised. I barely remembered it. it was so high concept when he first showed it off like 3 years ago
Okay.
that like we were like, what even is this? And we still don't really know what it is, but it's called Judas. There's still no date. There's still no date on this thing. Like, it's
We're still making it.
ridiculous. They showed the thing off like 2, 3, 4 years ago. There was no date then, but there's still no date now. So I don't even know. It looks to be just as like high concept and mind-boggling as Bioshock
Yeah.
Infinite was at the time.
Yeah,
So
it looks like Bioshock.
I'm hoping for good things. It looks cool. I like the idea of the female protagonist. It can hopefully open up for some different styles of storytelling. I hope, but yeah, we'll have to see how we'll see. We'll know when you know. Like, I mean, and I wonder if part of this is because it was highly documented how burnt Ken Levine was at the end of Infinite. Like, for those who remember, like it was. I mean, it was a highly critical game. It was a fantastic game. But like Ken Levine went on record many times afterwards saying like how hard it was for him. That's why and shortly after the game came out, the studio shut down. I don't know if he shut it down or if Take-Two shut it down, but like he wasn't necessarily mad at the time. Like, he was like, good, like I'm done. So I'm wondering if it's been taking so long because he just does not want that to happen again. Which kudos to him. I don't blame him. But it does kind of suck. It's almost just like, how does the studio stay alive for so long when like you're not bringing any games to bring in the revenue for the cost of making this game?
Yeah, who
So
knows?
it's like, oof. Anyways, after Judas, they wouldn't piss me off. Sony wouldn't piss me off. They showed off a new VR game, and it was in the Metro series. A VR game in the Metro series. I'm so mad.
Time to get a VR, bro.
God damn it. I gotta get a VR too. Like, god damn it. And it looks good. That's the worst part, because like Metro was already a first person game, so it lends itself very well to the VR like style of game. But like, you're messing around with like the stopwatch and your air, and you gotta fight the spiders and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and it looks good. I'm just like, I hope if this game is canon, I'm gonna be so mad. If this game ends up being canon, I'm gonna lose my mind. Now, granted, I haven't played Exodus yet. I have it, but I haven't played it yet. So I don't know if like Artyom dies or something like that. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't. But like, I just hope whatever this is just just a good side story. Kind of how like actually I don't know. I don't know if Horizon, what was it called, The Wild, that VR game. I don't know if that was canon to anything, because you didn't play it. You didn't play as Aloy.
Yeah.
You didn't play as her. You played as someone else. So like, I'm hoping that something like that, where it's like just a good side story, maybe to like maybe give us more about the lore or some more background. Because like there's a lot of, I don't know how many novels were made from where they drew the inspiration from, but like I'm sure there's a lot in the books that they could probably touch on more that they haven't yet with the main game. So that's what I'm hoping, because otherwise I'm gonna lose my mind if they don't end up like making a PS5 port, because sometimes they do that with the VR games. Sometimes they do get a non-VR version of the games. If they don't do that, I am going to walk up to Sony California and I will demand that they make a PS5 non-VR version, or I will.
I'm sure you could just save the money on the plane ticket and just buy a VR headset.
Why would I do that when I can just buy one plane ticket and just go beat someone up and be more happy that way and not puke? So and then they showed up another VR game which looked cool, like for VR people, like for big VR fans. Like it looks cool, like it was just but it looked so generic. It's called Legendary Tales, like a medieval game. You're slashing skeletons and using like magic, and it was the most generic medieval fantasy game I have ever seen. It looked great because for VR it looked really good, but I was just like, why do you guys get the money to just make the most generic derivative medieval like it's just every trope, every little checkbox for a medieval game you could think of is in this, like it so I'm just like, whatever. And after that, then they went to Dragon Dogma 2. This game is getting a lot of press, which I think they're doing that on purpose, because I think one of the big problems why the first one didn't jump off back in the day was that Capcom barely marketed it. They did not do anything with it. So only people that would know about it are those that just happen to discover it, then word of mouth, and then there you go, right? Kind of like Demon Souls or the first Dark Souls, right? Like unless you were in the know.
Something wasn't as good.
True, but like unless you were in the know, you didn't know, right? You just didn't. Not until it got the real, like Dark Souls 2 started to kind of really get the press going, and 3 and Bloodborne and all that.
Dragon's Dogma had its re-release, Awakening.
Yeah, but even then it wasn't like hugely press. But like this one is getting a lot of press because they now know that this game actually does have a good following. So they showed up more of the combat. I think I've never played the first Dogma, and I've now come to realize that this is stuff that they're bringing over from the first Dogma. But like some of the combat stuff you can do in this game, I've never seen before. Like the way you interact, like it's just crazy. Like he was jumping off the big enemy, backflipping and like shooting arrows in the air. I'm like, wait, hold on, wait, rewind. You can jump off enemies? Like, wait, hold on a second. You could jump off enemies? Like you could just catapult and jump off enemies? Like, what? But apparently that's something you could do in the first game. Like you could jump on them and like hold on to them and climb them and stuff. I'm like, how? Why is this game the only game that does that? Like that is like sounds like the smartest thing ever. Like to be able to just interact with the enemies you're fighting, like how come it was only just melee strike? It's like we can jump. Like why wouldn't you jump?
You can grab things.
You can use your hand and fingers that you were born with and grab things. Like why wouldn't you do that? So that looked really cool. I'm sure Dogma fans are gonna be so happy with this. It looks like they really did a lot. They're putting a lot of care into this game. You can just see it. The more you see of it, the more you can tell they are really treasuring this game, and I think it'll do fantastic. We don't know what else is coming out like really big. We haven't really seen, I think, in this year, like the game. You know what I mean? Like last year was between Breath of the Wild and what one game of the year last year?
Baldur's
Gate. Yeah, like we haven't seen a couple of those, yet, like the game.
Yeah,
and then like the year, because the 2 years before we had Elden Ring, and that was in March, April. It was early in the year, and then we knew Breath of the Wild was coming out early last year. Now Baldur's Gate, I don't know when we knew about that, but it's just we don't know yet.
But we didn't, even if we knew about it, we didn't know how big it was going to be.
Well, not yet. I mean, it took a little bit of time for us to really get it, but
it had to.
But we don't know yet. And granted, yes, you're right. We're not even 2 full months into the year. But I think Dogma 2 will be a big contender for Game of the Year from what I've seen so far. Like I really think it will, based on what we've seen so far this year. And then they went into Rise of the Ronin and gave it a lot of good treatment. Oh man, you can fucking fly. You can fly in this game. You know your boy
Got a
is
little
about to
Da
be
Vinci type
flying
shit.
everywhere. Phew! I'm gonna be flying in my little wing mechanic thing. Oh, I'm so excited. But apparently, I don't know for sure. Apparently, this game, made by the guys that made Neo and Wolong, Stranger Paradise, they are changing their kind of mechanics, some of the mechanics of the game. So it seems to be that this is not going to be a loot heavy type of game where it's all about grinding the gears,
So more
replacing gear.
Sekiro.
Yeah, kind of more. Where like I don't know how much gear will take place. I'm not saying it won't, but like it doesn't seem to be where like every enemy drops several pieces of gear and then like bosses will drop like 10, 20, 30 pieces of gear and you need to find the legendary gear to be the best, or like certain gears have certain specs that you're looking for your build. Which I don't mind. I like that because it actually, to me, that's what a build is to me. I don't like the definition of a build in Souls games. I think it's too simple. For Neo and Wolong, I think that's what I'm thinking of when I think of a build. You're actually putting hella pieces together to create like all this synergy. But it looks like they might be skewing that for something a bit more streamlined and simple. Which, even though I like it, I am aware that a lot of people like that's one of their biggest criticisms of the Neo / Wolong games is all of this grind for armor. A lot of people don't like it because it becomes too RNG to try to get the build that you want, which I guess is one of the good sides of the Souls philosophy of builds, that there's not much RNG. It's just what weapon you want to use, what does it scale with, focus on that, and you win. Like that's kind of, I know I'm streamlining a bit, but essentially those are the main things. But it does give you more freedom to really experiment with what you want to do. Whereas in Neo and if you want to switch weapons, or you have to change up everything. Like if you go from like using axe to using dual swords, you got to change everything. You got to respec completely. You have to go regrind other levels to get the weapon that you need with the right stuff. Like there's no crossovers, or very little. Anyways, so it looks really cool. I like the idea of this aesthetic of the 1800s Japan rather than getting out of the common, feudal Japan. I really like that. I wonder how much will be opened up now because of it. Because at that time, they were more open to Western expansions. I wonder, like, will you be able to travel maybe outside of Japan, or maybe to multiple islands within Japan? I wonder, right? Because now we have better transportation. Like I said, you can fly, and who knows what else you can do. But like, I am very excited to play it. I do wonder if I'm going to be limited to the sword, or if I will at least be able to have a chance to just use different weapons. Maybe there's not all this grinding.
You're definitely going to get a gun.
Well, I know a gun. I meant like, can I use a melee weapon besides a sword? That's what I wonder. And I'm not saying I need to have all that loot for different types of said class of weapon, but I do wonder, will it be like Sekiro? Like you said, like it's just a blade, that just your trusty blade. Like I wonder, will it just be that, or will it be something else? But either way, I know I am going to enjoy this. The fact that it is a PS5 exclusive is also leaving me hopeful that they will also have been able to tap more into the power of the system, because with Wolong, even though it came out last year, and I think it's part of it is because it was cross-gen, but like that game, even on PS5, like did not look like a PS5 game to me. It looked like a really good PS4 game, because Neo 2 came out in 2020 at the end of that life cycle, before the PS5 was out, but it came out that same year. And I was just like, this looks like just Neo 2 with a different coat of paint. Like
I wouldn't be surprised they use all the same, like much of the same assets and stuff too. Like it looked incredibly similar.
Yeah, it did. Like I when I was seeing their intro cutscene, I was like, yep, this is a Team Ninja game. This is a Team Ninja game, all right, because it looks just like Neo. But so I'm hoping that with it being exclusive, they can really flesh it out more and really make it look like a good actual PS5 game, like how we've seen with like Lords of the Fallen and Remnant 2, which those were exclusive to the next gen. So I'm hoping this will be the case too. So yeah, excited. That'll probably be my game of the year. it won't be game of the year because the things that I like, no one else likes. So, but it will be my game of the year. I am almost certain, unless the other blade completely wipes me off my feet. But yeah. And then they gave me with another surprise. Until Dawn is getting a PS5 remake, and I am for it. I am for it.
I don't know why it needs it.
What do you mean you don't know why it needs it?
I don't know why are the graphics really going to be that much better?
It's not about graphics, bro. It's not about the graphics. We don't care about the graphics.
Then what the fuck is it about? Like,
Accessibility.
why do you need a remake?
Accessibility. I want to play the new version all over again on a PS5. Okay? I want to relive the experience. Okay? Okay, bro? Okay?
It's like,
okay?
okay. Go for it.
Sorry.
Don't make all the same decisions that you already know leads to the best.
Hey, man, and for me, it's another excuse to get another platinum. Like that's another reason for me.
That
like,
for you, yes.
It's another reason to get a platinum that I enjoyed. That's like I really enjoyed it.
That being said, I will say, like, if all of a sudden they were like, "Hey, we're re-releasing all of the Walking Dead Telltale games on Xbox Series X," I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, you fuck, get that shit today.
Give me that in my veins. I need it now." you would have the picket fence.
To be fair, yeah, I'd be the same way.
And those games are less inferior graphically than the Until Dawn is.
Yeah.
What I'm a little curious though, the one thing I always wondered about a remake or a sequel was like getting the cast together again, right? Because it's like it's using all those people are real people, you know. Especially, you know, good old Rami
I wonder
Malek.
how the technology.
Yeah, like with Rami Malek being an actual star now than he was in 2015. And I don't know what Hayden Panettiere, I don't know how to say her name right, but she's the other she was like the other established actress at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I don't know what she's been doing. The dude, I don't remember his name, Michael or something. He was a tall dude. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He was in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show for some time, so he was an actual established actor too. So I just wonder, like, would they even be as easy to get now, or like would Rami now demand like a several $1 million pay to be in the game because he's an actual star?
I wonder if they can still use, because all it is just, you know, motion capturing and face capturing. So I wonder if they can just reuse that and just put it through the new textures.
It looks like that's what they're doing because they showed off footage of it. They showed off a couple footage, and
I don't think that they would even need them back.
No, but for like a sequel, you know, I always wondered.
Sequel.
I always wondered. Well, before I saw what they were gonna do, that like, you know, they could just like take the asset and just make it nicer again, like more refined with the new specs. I did wonder beforehand, like, could they do it? Like, I just wondered, like, could they do it? But looks like they can. Looks like they can because we're getting the remake. But I'm excited because also because Until Dawn, and for me and for a lot of people, it's the best. It's still the best horror game that Supermassive has made in their like anthology, whatever crap. Like, this has been the best. It's still the best one in my opinion. I don't think they've topped it yet. The Quarry has come pretty close, but their anthology series to me has been pretty crap. Honestly, like almost completely.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything good. Just Until Dawn, and then it's kind of riding the coattails.
Yeah, I think the reason why people like it is because it's only of its kind right now. It's only like, where else are you gonna get this? You can't. That's why you like it, because it's the only game in town. So, but anyways, excited to play it. There's no date, but I will be very pumped to have that. And then they spent 1,000 years giving us more footage on Death Stranding 2. We saw the longest fucking, like, and you know what the funniest part about that whole thing was? Still no date. Oh, no, I apologize. 2025. Next year.
Yeah, I mean, the first one was a big game, so it could just be that, like.
Well, I mean, like, to spend so much time, it felt like it was like 10 minutes just on Death Stranding 2, right?
Yeah.
And this whole presentation was only 40 minutes long, right? And so it's just like, I feel like that should have been dedicated more next year or later into the year, personally. That's kind of how I felt like it was just like, you dedicate so much time so early into this, right? Like, I mean, I could understand like 5 minutes or something, right? But they just went. It felt like it was forever. It just like, yo, what? Like, stop. Like, I mean, it doesn't help that I don't really care, but like, it was just like it just went on forever, and it just like, if you care this much, then just do what you guys did with Final Fantasy VII. Give it its own showcase for like 15, 20 minutes. Because they did. Because they announced that afterwards they're going to do a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth one, which already happened. Which that made sense. But I feel like if they care this much about Death Stranding, then do that with that then. Like, I don't know. It just felt like it was too early to dedicate so much time to your very few big presentations you have throughout the year to one game. And then Hideo came out in person, whatever. He actually showed himself, and he said that he's also making this new game called Fizzint. I don't know how you say it right. Fizzint. And it's supposed to be some kind of spiritual successor of sorts to Metal Gear, of some kind. I guess, and it looks like it might be a PlayStation exclusive. Yeah, so that's also coming. But I mean, who knows? People are thinking that might be a PS6 game, PlayStation 6 game, because because Hideo takes forever to make games.
He takes his fucking time.
And so if we're getting Death Stranding in 2025, he already announced that weird ass game with Xbox. That what was it called? WTF or something stupid. That weird horror. I don't know what the one with Jordan Peele. That's who knows when that's going to be after Death Stranding. So who knows when that's coming? And now he's going to talk about this Fizzint game. It's like, what?
I just love that he's living his best life, man. He's
it's cool.
People are paying me to do whatever the fuck I want, and it's great.
I mean, I'm not mad. It's just like, okay. But anyway, so that was the whole presentation. Overall, I was happy. It showed off some games that I was curious that I actually I care about. Some cool surprises. Even the surprises that I don't really care for were cool nonetheless. Like the Silent Hill stuff was nice. But yeah, it was a good show. It's always funny to see the subtle ways Microsoft and Xbox compete with each other. You know, it's cute. You know, Xbox has their showcase, and then like instead of putting out a tweet or saying anything, Sony's just like, here's our showcase a couple weeks later. Like it's just funny the way they still compete, but just not as, you know, brazenly as they would, you know, 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which actually brings us to our main topic of the day. Some of you guys may have heard.
Xbox is selling.
Who's buying?
They straight selling.
But who's buying? It's been in the news. Maybe if you're an Xbox fan, you've definitely heard.
It's all rumors.
It's all rumors. It's all rumors. And normally I don't like to really talk about rumors, but this is pretty heavy.
And it
has implications for
it gives credence to my master theory that if you've been with the channel, you know what it is.
Yep,
man.
the 3, 4, 5, 6D chess is coming into fruition. Just David's on another plane from us mere mortals. Xbox, it's been hitting the rumor mill the last couple of weeks that Xbox might actually be having their big first-party exclusives on PlayStation. Maybe Switch, if Switch 2 comes out, because the normal Switch will blow up if you put any of these games on it. But the PlayStation 5, they're saying Starfield, Gears of War, I think, Indiana Jones even, I heard.
Indiana Jones.
Which, okay, granted, would fit, but Xbox needs its own, like, Uncharted. Anyways, Indiana Jones. I didn't see Forza, and I didn't hear talk about Halo. But
I didn't see him either.
Just the fact of Gears, Starfield, and their brand new IP, Indiana Jones, is enough to make you raise an eyebrow. Now, with them being rumors, you know, it is what it is. I still, despite David's harmony coming to fruition here, I still don't want that to happen. As much as I would like to have Starfield, or even Elder Scrolls, you know, because there's still, you know, we don't know about Elder Scrolls.
Yeah.
Even though I would love to have it, and Gears seems cool, I would definitely raise an eyebrow if Forza came over. That would be, because Gran Turismo needs some fucking competition, because Gran Turismo will be fucking up the last couple of games. But Forza would be cool. But like, as cool as it would be to have all of those, and I know there's a lot of Sony fans that would love to play Gears because Gears seems like a fucking solid ass game. And people were mad about Starfield not being on PlayStation. I don't want it to happen just for the sake of competition. You know, you can't because then
But
things become
competition in what though? See, when we start
so.
getting into these questions.
Oh,
I still think
sorry.
there's gonna be competition
Yeah,
in
no,
games.
you're right. Sorry, but just where they're at is what
Yeah, where
matters.
they're at.
Where they're at is what matters. And I guess it's the matter of I don't want my TV to be a game system. Like I really my TV can barely fucking boot up. You know, like it's just like TVs were never meant to handle the shit that that like your future hypothesizing has them built for. Like we would have to have these
Well,
TVs completely rethought of to handle at a good level what we
and it
want
might
them to
and it
do.
and it might not be TVs, but let's before we get to my how this all fits into my master plan. Let's talk about the two different kind of scenarios. Well, three is that all this is bullshit, and maybe it's only like it's only but Starfield. It's only Bethesda games that are being launched. Because I think the only thing of credible information that's come out of Xbox is that Phil was like, "Hey, we're hearing you. We have a big announcement about the future and stuff like that." My I think sometimes the simplest solution is the right solution, like the simplest answer is the right answer. I think the simplest answer is just that they've decided to launch Starfield on PlayStation. I think that's the simplest thing. Now, let's say that they are doing more. They're doing Gears, they're doing you know Indiana Jones and stuff like that. So you have the first scenario in which that they are just making them non-exclusive and they'll be on the PlayStation. So no Game Pass involved at all. That if you want it, you can buy it on your PlayStation, and whatever. That gives them more units. They've already said that they've lost the console wars, or that they haven't really even been competing in the console wars since the end of the Xbox One era. And they just want a larger install base to buy these games. And if they can sell couple more million of Starfield, a couple more million of Indiana Jones, it doesn't really matter to them because although yes, when Starfield launched, they saw a uptick in console sales. I just Nothing Xbox has said over the last several years has made it any indication that they care about their consoles at all. The only thing they've been talking about since the launch of the Series X was games and Game Passes. So games and like their physical games releases, but also their Game Pass. So I just don't think they care too much about selling their system. I think that we might not get another Xbox. Maybe we get one more. I have a theory for that later on when we talk about my ultimate theory. That's one. It's just that it's a simple just releasing of maybe just Starfield, but maybe just a couple more, and they're just looking to sell these IPs that they don't have a huge install base for in relation to PlayStation. Um, I think the most likely scenario is that it is just going to be like Starfield. I don't when we talk about Gears and stuff like that, I don't think it's gonna. I think it's unlikely that it goes that far without some deeper like scenario happening, like what I'll talk about in a second. I think that the easiest and most simple solution is just that it's going to be Starfield, Elder Scrolls going later, Indiana Jones because they just bought that, and that Wolfenstein and stuff like that has been on systems on the PlayStation system before. Um, Basically, the non legacy Xbox exclusives would get sent over to be PlayStation and Nintendo games. Now, scenario two, scenario that I agree is the least like not as likely as scenario 1A or 1B that I talked about a second ago, but my favorite scenario is that Game Pass will be on other platforms. It's already on PC. It's been on PC forever since the start. I think that they're gonna. I My prediction is they're gonna get it on PlayStation, and to attract PlayStation owners to Game Pass. Not just that it's a great deal for all the games you get of non Xbox exclusive games. I think that would be a pretty big draw, even if they didn't have the exclusive Xbox games on there. But I think that they are going to want to put just a few Xbox exclusive games on there, and I think throwing in a Gears, something that's not. I mean, yeah, it's a huge part of Xbox history, but it's not a huge part of their current their current now. I think you throw the old Gears games on Game Pass for PlayStation, and you'll get people like, oh shit, I'll get Game Pass, if only just to play Gears, and then they'll see all these other games on there, and they'll be like, oh, this is really good. I think the biggest kind of roadblock to that is what's PlayStation gonna say about their PlayStation Now. Does it roll in like, do you have to buy PlayStation Now with this Game Pass? Like, who knows the semantics? But I think that I've been on this scenario for a long time. I think it makes sense with how many studios they bought up. I think it's the only thing that really makes sense to recoup the money that they've spent is you have to get your games in front of as many players as you can. And right now, as far as home consoles are concerned, PlayStation is above and beyond the largest seller in that market. So I think it would make sense for them to try to find a way to get Game Pass onto PlayStation and potentially Nintendo. Ow, cat. Um, so again, Nintendo has software, hardware issues on so maybe Switch 2 would be more. But I mean, even if you were to put Game Pass on the original Switch, there are a lot of games, a lot of the indie games that are on Game Pass that can play on the Switch, and maybe it's just a version of Game Pass is like Game Pass Switch that only has the games that wouldn't catch your whole house on fire.
Yeah, that wouldn't destroy the
Um,
system.
yeah, exactly. So I think that I think I've been pushing this for a long time. I think that if any of this is credible, I think that it could work. Now, what I also think is going forward, there might be another Xbox release, like an Xbox X Plus or whatever, like next iteration. But as we've talked about tons of times on the show, to my frustration, they haven't even scraped the surface of the Xbox X's potential as a console for various reasons that I won't get into because it's already long enough and I don't want to get mad. So there's a chance they come out with another one. But my thing is that I think PCs are becoming more and more ubiquitous within the gaming sphere. It's becoming easier and easier to buy a fully built, spec'd out PC just off of these online PC builder shops that you have. It's becoming easier and easier to upgrade PCs. I think that they might just transition to saying, we already make PCs. We'll just make PCs easier to buy and just get away with, get rid of the console and we'll just sell PCs. And people that do want to have, a PC can buy it from us, an Xbox PC or just keep their Microsoft branding, whatever they might be. Get rid of the Xbox and then have their stuff on PC and PlayStation. I think that that's reasonable. I think that if they did that and made it easy for me, I'd just buy a PC. I've wanted a PC for a long time. And if they were like, yeah, here's an easy way to get, we guarantee that if you buy this PC, that all of our Game Pass games will run on it. I'd be like, cool, that's basically a console for me, but now I can have an actual PC and play PC games on it too. I think that would be a smart idea. So I think, like we said, it's all rumors. I think the most likely scenario is just that the non-legacy exclusive titles are just going to be, declared not exclusive anymore. But I do think that Xbox has shown enough that they don't care about consoles anymore, not in a bad way, just in a way that that's just not their focus. And it could happen. So that is the end of my TED Talk. Your thoughts?
And they didn't have to pay for it. Woo! Okay. Ooh, okay, where to start? Okay, I think for me, at the end of the day, what matters to me is that whatever the fuck Microsoft is trying to do or is thinking of doing long term, as long as it doesn't stifle competition, I will ultimately, I think, be okay. It's just if whatever scheme happens, if it just gives Sony more of an edge, or if it just makes Microsoft seem like they just don't give a fuck, it's just like I just like again, like I said before, as a Sony guy, Sony has been they're drunk with power, and they've been drunk with power for like 9 years, and it's showing. It is definitely showing. Um, and I don't like everything that's happened, that they've done, and so I don't want Microsoft to back down. I don't want them to stop. We need them. we need y'all because no one cares about Nintendo. Not that they're bad. Not that they're bad. It's just they're so left field that no one cares. So we need Microsoft to stay in the game, or I guess some new out of nowhere competitor. But we need them because someone needs to keep Sony in check from just doing the stupidest shit you could ever think of. But the other thing is that, if we're thinking, also, I don't like the idea of like them being out of the console race and either putting it on a mobile device or a TV or some other electronic thing. I don't like the idea of that.
But like, why though? Because it's
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Two reasons. One, it's too dystopian for me, and two, like I said, like I was saying earlier, like if I'm using just my TV for example, all right, like unless you would have to completely change how we even think about TVs. And now, first of all, then TVs become way more expensive because they got to handle way more. TVs infrastructures have to change completely because now you got to put SSDs in there. It's like, can that even work? It's just like it's just you have to change everything about TVs, and they were supposed to function for one thing, and now we're having to do so many things, and I don't like the idea of having to the reliability that I have to put into one device to do everything, because when anything happens to that one device, I'm fucked, and I don't like that. So it's just that's why it just irks me. This is why it just rubs me the wrong way. I don't personally like that. I don't want that future. I'm not saying it won't happen. I will be pouting the whole way. That's basically what I'm saying. As far as exclusives, I do agree it wouldn't make sense if the Bethesda related titles went multi-platform because there's that legacy of them being multi-platform. I wasn't ultimately irked though about them being with Xbox, like and with Indiana Jones being exclusive for now, and like Elder Scrolls 6 supposedly being exclusive, because like being working at GameStop, you saw the numbers. You saw it firsthand, Like when Elder Scrolls 5 came out, I don't remember no one talking about it on PlayStation. Like it was mainly Xbox. Fallout 3 New Vegas, mainly Xbox, it's just a lot of their titles just catered to Xbox players more, legacy wise, that is. So like I thought it was a smart move. It made sense to me. They already had it'd be like if Capcom, bought, PlayStation bought Capcom. It just makes sense. Or Square Enix, if they bought Square, it's like, yeah, because their Final Fantasy has more of a legacy on PlayStation than it does on Xbox. Like for instance, Final Fantasy VII, the remake and the rebirth are both. Well, okay, I know remake went multi-platform, but it was an exclusive for like a year or something. Integrate expansion, I think, was exclusive on PlayStation for some limited time. This rebirth, the second part of the remake, is exclusive to PlayStation 5. I don't know for how long, but it is exclusive. Like there is that legacy there. So like it made sense. It makes sense for like sometimes when you have certain publishers or whatever to be tied up with one manufacturer because they just have that legacy there. So like I wasn't mad when ultimately it happened because I was like that makes perfect sense to me. Now as far though, if we want to think about macro, like a macro sense here, because Microsoft's been around for a long time, right? And like any big company, well, Fortune 500. They're like a Fortune 5, but like any big ass company, they're where they are because they don't just think of the short term. They have foresight. They have to try to plan, predict, forecast the future. And if we remove our boomer ass heads from the situation here, and we think about we're kind of getting to that aging population of gamers, as sad as it seems. You know, now I know we're part of the younger part of the millennials, but like millennials goes up to like 38 to 40-year olds, you know, and we're all grouped together. We're all grouped together, right? And we're starting to become less of the focus, you know, and we're getting the Zers, the Zoomers. I think there's also, are they called Gen Y, Gen Alpha before them? What, like the young, like the 12-year-olds or whatever? I don't know, but them kids, we'll just call them kids. You know, they're becoming the main target. They're growing into the main target, right? And you got to think about what they care about. And I would reckon, I got no survey data, but I would reckon that they probably don't care about console exclusivity like we do, or the generations before us did with, you know, Sega, Nintendo, and all that.
Mhm.
And so when you have a growing audience base that is showing lack of an interest for the things that the generations before cared about, well, then you're gonna start changing your focus to match that. You have to. You got to meet your customers where they're at. And if the growing base, if they're like, you know, like a young kid, they're like, okay, like I just want to play fucking Fortnite. I don't care if it's on my toilet. I just want to play Fortnite. I don't care if I got to look at a mirror to play Fortnite. I want to play Fortnite. I don't care where I play it. I just want to be able to play it, you know? And of course, I'm just using Fortnite as a scapegoat. But like, you know, if they don't care where or how they play their games, it's just as long as they can play their games. And that's what the majority of that consumer base wants, you know, agrees on, or, you know, kind of unites on, then the publishers or manufacturers are going to respond in kind, especially if that's where a lot of the money goes towards, or a lot of the revenue is coming from. So when you talk about, you know, them putting it on PlayStation or Game Pass, or getting out of the console race altogether, you know, it could be because they might be seeing some of that emerging data coming through from the younger audience that is growing into the, you know, main audience for gaming, you know, because you have like these young 20-year-olds, mid 20-year-olds, who are starting to get into jobs, starting to get some money of their own, some discretionary income, and they're the ones going to be buying a lot of games, especially digitally. And with them having such more of a digital focus, that limits, you know, that kind of gives you more freedom for where you can distribute your game. And if they don't really care, it's just like they just happen to have a PlayStation because that's they just have it, or they happen to have a Switch because they just have it, you know. But like if their game that they were playing on their Switch was available on PlayStation, or if it was somewhere else and it was easy to get to, they, you know, like, would that stop them? If they say no, then shit, you know, you figure out a way to make that happen, you know. And so what I'm thinking, you know, kind of like that, you know, using that business head kind of thinking outwardly, you know, because, you know, that's what you have to think. You know, any business cannot focus on short term exclusively. Like you kind of, you know, you got to figure out where you're going for the year, but you do got to think long term. Otherwise, you'll have no overarching goals. And it seems, you know, if we use these rumors as like a, you know, extender here, you know, it could be that you know, they're seeing that and they want to respond in kind. And so part of that is like, if they don't care about the consoles per se, they care about the games, then it's like, that's what we're going to focus on. So I think those are my thoughts. You kind of respond to that in a way.
Yeah, I just think that Microsoft doesn't care where they play. I think that if they can work, I think the only thing stopping my kind of idea is the Sony and the Nintendo. Them giving Microsoft access to their platform to put Game Pass on. I think that's the only obstacle. I think if Sony was receptive to it, it would have happened by now. Because if even if they have to cut Sony and Nintendo in on a little bit of the profit from from Game Pass being on the PlayStation or Switch, like we talked about, I think it's worth it for them. I think that they see is the install base and people playing their games. As a Xbox guy, the thing that I've always found funny is that like I have no real reason to be an Xbox guy.
I've been wondering this in my head for the
Yeah,
longest time. Like,
I have no real
what
reason.
is keeping you buying an Xbox, bro? Like, one of
I don't
your
know.
best friends is on the other side, and we can't play games together, just so you
No
can
clue.
play Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's like
Yeah, like
just
which I don't play. I would say the things that I care about that are on Xbox was one, my friend Ryan had an Xbox for the longest time. He has them both now, but that's what he had, and I only could buy one, and we played a lot of online games, shooters together. I do think back when I cared about now it's my dog. Hi. When I back when I played about online gaming,
yeah.
cared about online gaming, PlayStation was not as good as
No,
Xbox
no, not at all,
when it
not at
came
all.
to online gaming.
Hmm.
So I think that's what got me there first.
Hmm.
And then the controller, in
Mm,
my
I
opinion,
heard.
the
Yeah.
Xbox
Hmm.
controller to this day, I know the PlayStation 5 one is a little bit better. Still, Microsoft controller has the controller for me. And that's it. So like if all of a sudden they were just like they're like, hey, Game Pass, all our games. I think he wants to go outside. All our games on PlayStation. No restrictions, whatever. Like your Game Pass subscription, just log into your Xbox account on a PlayStation 5. You're solid. I would go out today, sell my Xbox Series X for probably $10 because it'd be fucking worthless, and buy a PlayStation 5. I would. Especially if they were like also Xbox controller works with it. I'll be like, all right,
Honestly,
I'll just
I
boot.
feel like that part would get you in first.
I'll just throw my Xbox Series X in the trash. Like it's not that big of a deal for me. And I think that for one, uh, competition wise, it's still going to be there. You still have games owned by Microsoft competing against games owned by PlayStation. You'll still have Forza competing with Gran Turismo now on the same console, so the competition is even more. I think if this were to happen, I think competition only increases in the gaming sphere.
For games,
The,
yes.
what you would have to worry about is consoles, but I don't think that's an issue too, because what pushes our console tech has, yes, it's been consoles, but it's been PC. PC has been a step and a half ahead of consoles forever, and consoles are constantly trying to keep up with PC because of the interchangeability of PC. I don't think that even if Xbox were to go away, I don't think that stops PlayStation's need to continue to build their tech, because Microsoft is going to still be building PCs and building the tech, the video game tech. And will it be TVs? That was just kind of a random thing that I threw out. It could be maybe one day. I don't think it's anywhere close to being that. But maybe Xbox just makes a really good high powered streaming device, and because they've already put
Oh,
in a shit ton of money to their cloud,
the new
and maybe
Ouya,
their
huh?
cloud is able to support that, the processing power. Or maybe they do just go, like I said a little bit ago, and they're just like, hey, instead of an Xbox, we have this starter PC that's $600, and it's really easy. We made it really easy for you to swap out graphics cards, and you can buy new graphics cards at whatever it is, and do a more PC model. I don't think it takes away competition at all, because you still have the game competition, and you'll still have PC driving the graphics market.
Yeah, I hear you on the competition, because you have a good point, because like you have multiple publishers putting out a similar type of game, on one console, and that's no competition as is. So I can turn around on that one for sure. For instance, we got like, if we had Stellar Blade and Near Automata come out at the same time, like that's a good example of like of having competition without having different consoles.
Mm.
I'll say real quick, because you got dogs and cats that need your attention. last thing I'll say is
And the
that
Super Bowl that starts in 7 minutes.
is it this week? I thought it was next weekend.
No, this weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, have
It's
fun.
today.
And then the last thing is like, I'll say real quick is they should bring up the PC part again because like for me the issue is not building a PC, it is troubleshooting a PC because I didn't purposely try to find it, but I've ended up running into when I'm trying to figure out another type of problem that I'm having, but it ends up running to like an issue that like was like a Steam forum was talking about, and they're talking about all these fixes and like having to run the scripts and then boots and then the programs, and then I'm just like, that is what I don't want, but that's inevitable if you're running
Yeah.
PC, and
Yeah.
that is the bigger barrier for me and probably for a lot of people. Like for me, building is not the problem. I got a brother that can build me a PC in like 2 days, okay? Like flat. He knows what he's doing. A lot of people nowadays have probably somebody or know someone that knows somebody that can get them a PC if they give them the money and the parts. That's the easy part. The harder part is like actually setting it up, and then you have it set up, cool, you're good. Your program's running, Windows is running, you're good to go. But then if you run into any issue with the game, like if it keeps crashing and you don't know why, now you got to become a fucking technician to figure out why this game keeps crashing on you. You know, that's what I don't want to do. I have no patience for that. I'm glad you got bit. No patience for that at all. And a lot of people they just shut down. They're done. They don't want to do it anymore. No more. And so that's the worst. That's the part that I think is what I think is the real big deal.
And if you want a console, you'll still have PlayStation. You'll still have Sony.
That's if they stay in, you know. But
I don't think Sony's going to get out of the market because they haven't been making PCs. Microsoft has been making PCs forever.
Yeah, they don't have any other out for gaming besides that. Yeah. And also speaking of Sony, real quick, I think the reason when you said like they probably if they were open to the idea of Game Pass on their system, they would have done it. I agree, and I think the reason why it may not happen is because we also think about these are publicly traded companies that are ultimately run by shareholders. And if for instance Sony's, if their biggest shareholders are like the people on their board are more Japanese focused companies, you know, or Asian, Eastern country, focused people from their companies, they're probably not open to this, you know, especially if they see the fact that they are just destroying the console space and they're taking up all that market share besides Nintendo. They're probably just going to be like, why? Like, why would we do that at all? You know, and it's ultimately their decision at the end of the day. So I don't think these shareholders they care at all to have Microsoft on their turf. And I think they are totally content with where they are in the market. And the reason why they put their games out on PC is because it's not a direct competitor, at least not yet, unless Microsoft gets serious about that PC stuff. But for now, they're not a direct competitor, so they don't mind. You know, I mean, for instance, like I said, Helldivers 2 is one of the first few. They're actually starting to put out games simultaneously on PC and PS5, whereas before they were doing it like they were stagnating it by years at a time. So that's where we're at. Those are those are the rumors. That's what's happening. It's crazy. It's wild. But, you know, if we get some legitimate concrete stuff on this again, we'll bring it up. But we're not going to continue talking about new rumors or anything because they're just rumors, and we have better things to talk about. So, anyways, thanks for joining us, guys. We know this is a long one, but you know we were gone for a couple hours, or a couple of weeks, so we had to make up time. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll see you guys on the next one when that comes. Keep your eyes open. The Tekken 8 Platinum video will be on its way. It's working on it right now. But y'all take care and have a good day. We'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, everyone.